Greetings and welcome to OroCRM's video tutorial series. This is Rhonda with OroCRM, and today I'll be demonstrating how to use grids and grid functionality in OroCRM. OroCRM provides users the ability to manage the way you look at information within OroCRM. Grids are the most commonly used UI elements. Grids are customizable, so users can configure only columns of data that are relevant to the task at hand. In addition, grids can be modified to show columns in a specific order, as well as sort the data within them. Grids not only display data about specific records, but contain links to these records pages. Every time you access a data grid, you'll see an aggregated view of all records within the entity that meet the filter conditions which are set. Your customized view can then be saved as a default view and also shared with others. It is possible to modify the grid settings throughout OroCRM through the user's display setting. This includes, but not limited to, the number of records displayed per page and the pagination limit. Please see our video on how to customize display settings in the media library. All grids have several out-of-the-box features to help you manage your data. For this demonstration, we'll be touching on two sections: grid navigation and grid actions. Grid navigation includes grid headers, configuring fields, refresh and resetting the grid, managing filters, views per page, pagination, and grid views. Grid actions include inline editing, quick action menu, mass actions, and import and export. There are a number of different features you can use from the grid depending on which grid you're viewing. We can demonstrate these features by navigating to any grid. For our demonstration, we'll navigate to the Customer menu and select Magento Customers. Grid headers. Grid headers allow you to sort the records by column in ascending or descending order. To do so, simply click on the arrow in the column header. The grid header can move or stay in place depending on the user's grid settings under Display Settings in My Configuration. Configuring fields. Clicking the gear in the upper right-hand corner of the grid allows you to configure your grid settings. This allows you to configure your data grid with the columns of information to fit your business needs. The fields which are checked in the Show column are the fields of information currently displayed on the grid. You will see these fields in the order they are listed under the grid settings. To remove a column, uncheck the box next to the field name under the Show. To add a column, check the box next to the field under Show. You can rearrange the fields in the dialog by clicking on the two-directional arrow and dragging and dropping the fields in any desired order. Reset option. The Reset option, located to the left of the gear, resets the grid back to the default settings. This includes returning to the state before you added or altered fields or filtered results. The Refresh option. The Refresh option, located next to the Reset option, allows you to refresh your screen in order to show any changes made by other users or systems who may be working on one of these records. This assures that you always have the most up-to-date information as possible. Manage filters. Filters are great when you need to narrow down results in your data grid or view or process only specific records. For example, you can filter by records only from a specific state like California. Click on the Filter button to hide or show the filter bar, which displays the most commonly filtered fields selected by default. The View per Page option allows you to set how many items are listed on the grid per page. The default is 25, but you can use the drop-down to select 10, 25, 50, or 100 items per page. You can change this default from 25 to another setting permanently by changing your display settings under My Configuration. Pagination. Pagination details are displayed in the upper middle section of the screen. Pagination breaks down a large amount of data into many pages. The page number, number of pages, and the total numbers of records is displayed in the center above the grid. The arrows around the page number allow you to change the currently displayed page. Grid views. The way you configure a grid can be important. You may need to configure a view other than your default view and a view that you'd like to use every day. From our example, if you worked with only California customers, you could narrow down the results to filter California customers only. You can then save this grid and set it to be your default view. This means anytime you visit this particular grid, it will only show you the customers that are listed from California. Use the Options link next to the grid name in order to save the grid. You can then set it as your default grid. You can also share this grid with other users. Please see our video tutorial on filtering for a demo on how to walk through this procedure. Now we can demonstrate some of the grid actions. Navigate to the Customer Contact grid by selecting Customers off the main menu and then Contacts. Inline Editing. Most grids support inline editing by hovering over a field and clicking on the pencil icon. This opens up that field for editing. Once you've finished your edit, click the check marks to save any changes to return back to the grid. The Quick Action menu. Most grids have a Quick Action menu, although the grid options may differ depending on the grid you are viewing. Hover over the ellipse on the far right of the record to see the Quick Action items. Most grids include the option to view, edit, or delete the record directly from the grid if you have sufficient privileges. Other grids, such as the User's Grid, can be used to disable an account or reset a password. Mass Actions. The Mass Action button is located at the right edge of the grid header, above the row in the Quick Action menu column, and allows users to perform a particular action on a group of records. Click the drop-down next to the ellipse to view the possible Mass Action options. Out of the box, there are two options: Merge and Delete Records. These options may change depending on the grid being displayed. For example, the Contact grid has options to merge and delete records, where the Leads grid only has the option to mass delete. Mass delete allows users to select multiple records on the grid and delete them instead of deleting them one by one. Merge records allows users to merge two or more accounts into a single record. For example, if several small accounts are created for the same business, it could cause confusion. This option merges several records to one master record. Currently, only the account and contact record types support this action. Please see our video on merging account records in the media library for more information. To perform mass delete options, you can specify several records at once by clicking the checkbox on the left side of each record to include in the mass action. Alternatively, you can select all the records by clicking on the checkbox to the left of the header and perform Mass Action Check Control. Click the down arrow to access options to select all records, visible records, or no records. Selecting visible records means that only the page you are viewing will be included in the mass action. If you have more than one page, those pages are not considered to be in the viewing area and therefore will not be included. Import and export. There are two ways to export records. Users can export the entire grid from the Export button in the top right-hand corner of the screen. Users can export a filtered grid by clicking the Export Grid option in the upper left of the filter bar. Users can also import a CSV list into the grid by clicking the Import button in the top right-hand corner of the screen. This is helpful for when users export the list to make multiple changes, then import it to add or overwrite existing records. Please see our video on importing and exporting in the media library. Thanks for watching. For more video tutorials, please check out our website at www.orocrm.com/media-library.